Breaking, Trump signs tariff letters to 12 countries, global trade war escalates. Trump's tariff deadline, July 9, what you need to know. Breaking, Trump signs tariff letters to 12 countries, global trade war escalates. In a bold move that could reshape international trade dynamics, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that he has finalized letters detailing tariff levels for goods exported to the United States from 12 different countries. These letters, which he describes as "take it or leave it" offers, are set to be dispatched on Monday. While speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One during his journey to New Jersey, Trump chose not to disclose the names of the countries involved, stating that this information would be revealed on the upcoming Monday. Earlier in the week, he had indicated that the first set of letters would be sent out on Friday, coinciding with a national holiday in the United States, but the timeline has since been adjusted. This announcement comes amid a global trade war that has significantly impacted financial markets and prompted policymakers worldwide to take measures to protect their economies. Back in April, Trump had introduced a base tariff rate of 10%, with additional tariffs for most countries, some potentially reaching as high as 50%. However, the implementation of all but the base rate was postponed for 90 days to allow for further negotiations aimed at securing favorable trade agreements. This negotiation period is set to conclude on July 9, although Trump hinted on Friday that the tariffs could escalate even further, potentially climbing to 70%, with many set to take effect on August 1. "I signed some letters and they'll go out on Monday, probably 12, Trump stated when asked about his tariff strategy. Different amounts of money, different amounts of tariffs. Initially, Trump and his advisors had expressed intentions to engage in negotiations with numerous countries regarding tariff rates. However, the president's enthusiasm for this approach appears to have waned following several setbacks with key trading partners, including Japan and the European Union. In a brief comment on Friday, he remarked, "The letters are better, much easier to send a letter," indicating a shift in strategy. He did not elaborate on his earlier prediction that broader trade agreements might be finalized before the July 9 deadline. This change in the White House's approach underscores the complexities involved in finalizing trade agreements, which encompass not only tariffs but also non-tariff barriers, such as restrictions on agricultural imports, all under a tight timeline. Historically, trade agreements have taken years to negotiate successfully. To date, the only trade agreements reached include one with Britain, which secured a 10% tariff rate and preferential treatment for certain sectors like automobiles and aircraft engines, and another with Vietnam, which reduced tariffs on many Vietnamese goods from a previously threatened 46% to 20%. Additionally, many U.S. products will now be allowed to enter Vietnam without any duties. However, a much-anticipated deal with India has yet to materialize, and EU diplomats reported on Friday that they have not made significant progress in trade discussions with the Trump administration. They may now consider extending the current arrangements to prevent any increases in tariffs. But here's where it gets controversial. Are these unilateral tariff measures the best way to foster international trade relations, or do they risk igniting further economic tensions? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Trump's tariff deadline, July 9, what you need to know. Tariff tensions escalate. Will the US and its trading partners reach a deal before the deadline? As the July 9 deadline looms, the Trump administration is sending a clear message to its trading partners: reach a deal or face the consequences. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned that if no agreements are made, tariffs will boomerang back to their April 2 levels on August 1. But here's where it gets complicated. The administration is also sending letters to around 100 countries, outlining the terms of their trade deals. So, what does this mean for the future of global trade? President Trump has hinted that these letters will include duty rates ranging from 10% to 70%, although Bessent has assured that the US will not impose the maximum tariff rate on major trading partners. The president has also claimed that deals have already been made with several countries, including the UK, China, and Vietnam. But what about the other countries on the list? Will they be able to negotiate favorable terms, or will they be forced to accept the US's demands? Bessent has made it clear that the US is not backing down on its trade policies. "We're gonna be sending letters out on Monday having to do with the trade deals. Could be 12, maybe 15. And we've made deals, also," Trump said. The Treasury Secretary has also emphasized that the US has the leverage in these negotiations, as the country facing a trading deficit. But not everyone is convinced that the US's approach is the right one. Economists have warned that the trade war will increase costs for consumers, and some companies have already announced plans to raise prices. Besant has dismissed these concerns, calling them misinformation and tariff derangement syndrome. However, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has argued that tariffs will come at the expense of higher inflation and less competitiveness for American producers. As the deadline draws near, the world is watching to see how these trade negotiations will play out. Will the US and its trading partners be able to reach a deal, or will tariffs become the new normal? One thing is certain, the stakes are high, and the consequences of failure could be far-reaching. What do you think about the US's approach to trade negotiations? Do you think it's effective, or will it ultimately harm American consumers and producers? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with Besant's assessment that the US has the leverage in these negotiations, or do you think other countries will be able to negotiate more favorable terms? Let us know what you think. How do you think the trade war will affect your daily life? Will you be impacted by higher prices or reduced availability of certain goods? Share your concerns and predictions in the comments. Breaking: Trump